Welcome back to the Heal with God podcast. I'm your host, Heather O'Brien. And I'm wondering today if you ever feel like you can't truly rest because your mind just won't shut off. I know that I used to struggle with that. And it can certainly still be a challenge to overcome, especially when my schedule gets full. I would try to rest, but my thoughts would race. And about everything that I had to do, everything that I was worried about. But what if true rest isn't just about stopping work, but about stopping the noise in your mind and your soul? So in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to rest, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally, so that God can bring true healing and peace. Hey warrior, welcome to Heal with God. As a Christian struggling with trauma, anxiety, and depression, you long for peace, but you worry healing might never come. I'm Heather O'Brien, and I've been there. Through learning to hear God's voice, I found the freedom and peace I was desperate for. If you're ready for real healing and freedom from fear, this podcast is for you. I pray the spirit of revelation fills your heart, and may you hear God's voice as you tune in. Warrior, have you ever wondered why indecisiveness, procrastination, or anxiety keep holding you back, no matter how hard you try to move forward? Well, I'm hosting a free prophetic healing workshop on Monday, March 10th, 2025, where I'll be coaching live. In this workshop, you'll discover the root causes behind these struggles so that you can begin healing and breaking free from the patterns that keep you stuck. I'll walk you through 3 simple steps to move forward with confidence and peace, even if it feels like you've tried everything before without success. During this workshop, I'll also be doing live coaching for a few lucky winners. If you're ready to take that first step in your healing journey, go ahead and sign up now because winners for the live coaching will be chosen on a first-come, first-served basis. So don't wait too long to get your spot. Ready to start your healing transformation? Check out all the details and sign up today at the link in the show notes. So I want to tell my story just a little bit about rest. I used to rest by checking out. In other words, I would check out by watching TV or scrolling on my phone or zoning out. And I'm not saying I've overcome these challenges all of the way, but I remember a specific time, maybe you've heard me tell this story before. I was going through a hard time, but I didn't realize how hard it was until, I don't know if you remember back in the day when we had to watch commercials. I was watching a show, zoning out on TV. I was alone in the house. I guess, I don't know where everybody else was, but I specifically remember I was alone in the living room watching a TV show. And when the commercials came on, I started sobbing, wailing even, uncontrollably crying. And then the commercial went off, the 2 minutes went by, and I took a deep breath, and I was fine again. I zoned back out into my TV show. I tell you this to say that I didn't know what was happening, but that actually happened every time a commercial came on. I would start sobbing. And as soon as the commercial was off and the show came back on, I was fine. I would take a deep breath and I'd watch the show again. Well, here's what was happening. I was checking out. I was checking out watching TV, and I wasn't dealing with whatever was causing me to sob. That emotion was there for a reason. And as soon as I took a breath from life, from my mind not being soaked up into the days, the things that I needed to accomplish during the day or whatever task was at hand, as soon as my mind had a break, all of a sudden my emotions were heightened to the point that I was actually sad, realizing that, oh, I'm sad. And I wasn't dealing with this sadness. I was turning it off by watching TV. I was taking a break. In other words, that's what we're talking about today, where I was resting. I was watching TV, but I wasn't resting in a way that actually I could heal spiritually or emotionally. I was just tuning out. I say all that to say that it wasn't until I discovered that real rest comes when we surrender everything to God that I actually begin to experience peace during resting times. And I want you to understand that we can take a break. We can take a deep breath. But your breath and my breath while I was watching TV is not the same as my breath while I was on purpose taking a breath with God. So I want to teach you about what rest really is biblically. Rest isn't passive. It's actually very intentional. True rest means that we're setting aside time to be in God's presence, to be very aware. In Psalms 23, verse 2, maybe you're familiar with this, it talks about where he leads us to green pastures and still waters. It's a time of renewal, not just physical rest, though. So rest isn't passive, it's intentional. In other words, let's go back to my example of watching TV. I was intentionally watching TV and tuning out the emotional time that I needed to spend with God to deal with what was bothering me. That was intentional. And so I could flip the script and I could intentionally maybe even just take the 2-minute break and say, okay, God, I'm struggling right now. I'm sad about something. For some reason, I'm crying whenever my mind isn't attentive to something. So what am I so sad about? And when I take time to actually intentionally ask God these questions, that's when healing really comes. So taking a breath literally can actually also be another thing that can help. When we rest, we do need a pause. We need to breathe deeply. This simple act of actually just taking a breath can connect you to God's peace, and it can help release tension in your body and your mind. If you go back to episode 100, I talk about a spiritual warfare kit. It's part of the trauma painkiller roadmap that I teach. In making a warfare kit is really important because if you're not dealing with your physical symptoms, you can't really deal with the spiritual symptoms. You have to address the fact that your body is responding to the anxiety and depression. And so taking a literal breath, that can really release the peace that you need. But being intentional with this breath is what makes it powerful. Knowing I'm taking a breath, it could look like, okay, as I inhale, I'm going to imagine the word peace spelled out, and I'm going to inhale each letter of the word, knowing that it's God who is my peace. So I intentionally look at the word, I imagine the word peace, P-E-A-C-E, spelled out in front of me, and I inhale. And as I inhale, I'm really taking a moment to inhale that word peace. And I might even take a moment to imagine the exhale of the word worry coming out with the exhale, W-O-R-R-Y. It's just leaving my body as I'm taking the deep breath in and I'm exhaling worry. I'm inhaling peace and I'm exhaling worry. Okay, so today I'm telling you 3 different things. First, rest is intentional. It's not passive. Taking a breath is a literal thing that you need to do on purpose. And the third thing I want to talk to you about is how can you rest with worship and gratitude? One of the best ways to experience rest is to focus on God through worship. And you give him thanks for his provision, for his presence, for everything that he is and he does for you. It actually changes your focus, your perspective, and it reduces the stress in your physical body, and it brings peace back to you. It brings the perspective shift of, okay, I have all of these things to do, but I have a God who's given me these things to steward, and he's going to teach me how to steward them. It realigns you. Worship is a really powerful tool to get us back in alignment. So taking this breath can be a super important practice to add into your life. So I'm going to give you an activation. I want to pull all this together. This week, I want you to practice breathing in God's peace. Breathing in his peace and exhaling worry. Maybe take 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Maybe it's a break in between your commercials. Maybe it's just a moment that you set a timer for on your phone or just a reminder with a sticky note while you're brushing your teeth that you're purposefully not listening to anything, not doing anything, not worried about anything, but you're just considering God's presence, that his peace is available with a breath. As simple as a breath, his peace is available. So take time to really sit quietly and intentionally breathe in deeply, imagining God's peace filling every part of you. As you're taking that breath, imagine the oxygen is actually from him. Everything comes from God, and it's going in your literal body. So it's going in, and I want you to imagine it. Use your imagination that God gave you. to imagine peace filling you and consuming you. And every time that you exhale, I want you to imagine you're releasing anxiety and stress on purpose. And maybe you can repeat a phrase like, God's peace is in me, with each breath. And then notice how you feel before and after you practice this. What do you sense? What is God doing in your heart? I'd love if you'd share your experience with a friend and maybe an accountability partner. Reach out to me. If you're on Apple Podcasts, you can share a rating and review, especially for this episode, and say, I practiced what she said about taking intentional time to breathe, and it actually made me feel what? I want to know. Let me know. Give me your feedback, and you can even take time to share audibly. If you go to the show notes, you can find the link where you can give me questions, where you can give me feedback, and I can share this with our audience here on the podcast too. So if you've been struggling to find true peace, I want to remind you that God has rest waiting for you. It's available for you. When you intentionally take time to be with Him, you open the door for His peace to flood your heart and your physical body. So don't just rest from your work, but rest in His presence. Take time to intentionally decide how you're going to rest. And maybe it even looks like taking a Sabbath, a few moments a day, and maybe even a day a week. As we wrap up, I want to remind you about the free prophetic healing workshop happening Monday, March 10th, 2025, where I'll be coaching live. If you've been stuck in patterns of procrastination, indecisiveness, or anxiety, this workshop's for you. Together, we'll uncover the root causes of these struggles so that you can finally break free and move forward with confidence and peace, even if you've tried everything else without success. Imagine what it would feel like to start your healing transformation and no longer feel held back by fear or overwhelm. During the workshop, I'll guide you through 3 simple steps that'll help you take the first step toward freedom. Plus, a few lucky participants will get live coaching, but spots are limited and will go fast. Don't let this opportunity slip by. Sign up today. The link is in the show notes, and let's start your healing journey together. I'm Heather O'Brien, and it's been such an honor to be in your earbuds today on the Heal with God podcast. If you're looking to hear God's voice, heal from the inside out, and maybe even share a laugh or two, you're definitely in the right place. Every Monday, we bring you powerful interviews and practical tips to support your healing journey. And every Thursday, join me for a Pray and Declare episode, as it's like a spiritual spa treatment to realign your heart with God. Just a quick reminder, while the content here is meant to inspire and guide, it's not a substitute for professional care from your physician or therapist. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Join us back every Monday and Thursday. And until then, I'm praying blessings and favor will chase you down.